weekly Ascension update. Now that I'm not doing Friday's Inspiration anymore, I still feel called to bring some regular information to you, telling you what's relevant, what's important, giving some suggestions, something that's helpful. And so this week I wanted to talk about how we can reconnect to Source. It feels really relevant today, or maybe within the next day or so. We are in the energy of the new moon. I think it's the new blood moon eclipse in Aries. It sounds big. Eclipses and new moons are always big energies. So it helps us to remove and eclipse those things that are not working in our life. So really a perfect time to plant some seeds. So I'm hoping that the information I'm giving today will be helpful in that regard, especially as it comes to or relates to connecting with pure source. So a lot of people are feeling disconnected. They're feeling disconnected from their bodies. They're feeling disconnected from each other. And there's so many levels to this that this is what I wanted to talk about today. So on a body level, most people that I've discovered are not in their bodies and not grounded, at least not very much. And this would apply to especially people who have taken the jab. I've noticed in a voluntary program that I did working with quite a few people, that more than half of them, their heart chakras were closed down and they had only 2 creative rings above their head. The base minimum is 3. They had 100 spells and curses. And so all of that energy, plus they had a lot of anger, but they didn't even know it because they're not connected to their bodies. And so this is a big part of the infiltration and the negative influences that are still upon humanity. And so that's one reason that it makes it really hard to connect with our bodies. I'm going to be telling you about something that I'm going to be doing next month that relates a little bit to this and this influence. So one of the things I discovered while I was on my many months of journeying with my mentor in Europe, and on our last mission in London, we had the opportunity to have our Anunnaki skin suits removed, and it was amazing the level of control these skin suits have over ourselves, over our physiology, how we think, etc. So next month I'm going to be doing an activation where I'm going to be removing these skin suits and the oppressive energy they put over humanity. They often come with spells and curses, so it's a little tricky in removing these. But I have done them with groups. I've done them with plenty of clients now, and so I feel really confident that we're going to be able to be really successful with this. So hopefully you'll be able to join us for that. Stay tuned. More information will be coming down the pike about that. So as regards to being disconnected from our bodies, that's one big reason, is all of these influences that are not ours, that are making us afraid, that are making us angry. It doesn't feel comfortable to be in our bodies. And I know many of you meditate, but it doesn't seem like it's enough, does it? Because many of you are not getting in your bodies when you're meditating. You're using it as an opportunity to leave your body. And so the process that I like to take people through with this process that we've been practicing every week called Running Your Energy is really a great way to get in your body. And so that's why I offer that free 20-minute meditation practice that I'll put the link to it below this video so that you can practice this, hopefully on a daily basis, and that's when you'll get the most benefit out of it. So that's very beneficial. And then another way that people are disconnected is from each other. I know, and you probably have realized this now, that over the past 2-3 years, everything that went down was, part of it was designed to separate us. They know that when we collaborate, when we cooperate, when we co-create, that we're coming together to be more solution oriented, and that's how we can create the changes on the planet. And so as long as they can keep us separated, then they're winning. And spending a lot of time on the internet is also a way that disconnects us, and especially if we're doing it from, sort of that mind-numbing perspective or way of interacting with the internet, where we're just, watching stupid videos that are not enriching our lives and not adding to our light quotient. And I get that sometimes you just want to get away, but we really have to be more selective now more than ever, because they are on their last ditch efforts as these darker energies are leaving the planet. There's been so much energies and so many missions and projects that have been going on behind the scenes that have been working on a lot of these dark energies, taking them out. Yet their residual energy, and as it's leaving, sometimes that's when gets the most intense. So as a few suggestions, well, and there's one other way that, and I won't get into this too much, but it's just food for thought for some of you who are a little more advanced. And another reason why we are not connected to Source, why we are not in the fullness of our light, is many of us have, in fact, probably most of us, have either past lives that, because we have simultaneous lifetimes that we're living out, but some of those are still open and having an effect in this lifetime, as well as soul extensions. So we have 12 life extensions from our soul that are living simultaneously. And if any of these are on the darker side, bleeding into this life, they can really create some havoc. I learned this in a very deep way on my mission in the Netherlands. And so that's just some food for thought. We won't get into that today. But that could be another very big reason why you're not in your body, why you're not connected fully to Source, why you're not embodying as much light as possible. And speaking of light and our bodies, this is the book that I'm working on currently, as I am been spending some time in a little bit of my own reclusion, using it for the benefit to get my next book done, which is called Access Your Ultimate Health, The Blueprint to Youthful Vitality. And it's all about raising this light quotient in our bodies in order to really fully embody the light going forward that's necessary as these embodied light beings, elevated, ascended light beings. We really need to have the structure, the physiology, to be able to hold all this light. And so that's what this next book is all about, how to do that, how to measurably raise our light quotient. So a couple of tips that you can think about this weekend as far as becoming more embodied and more connected to Source. How do you reconnect to Source? One thought is to get out in nature. As a matter of fact, so this is an invitation to any of you who are in the San Francisco Bay Area. On April 29th, so not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, I'm going to be doing my favorite hike. It's one I always miss when I'm not in the Bay Area. And it's an open invitation to have anyone who wants to join me. I go with or without people. And it's a beautiful hike in Marin County it's a strenuous hike. So if you're, just be forewarned, it's a strenuous hike. So I don't advise children. Pets are welcome on a leash. And so we're going to spend the day doing this hike, bring a bag lunch, and this is a great way to connect with Source energy. helping us to remember that we're made of the same stuff as these waterfalls and all the trees and the mountains up there. It's so amazing. Waterfalls and beautiful views at the top. So anyway, that's an open invitation. So if you're not getting out with us, then I encourage you to, as much as possible, get out in nature. Get your feet in the dirt, in the soil. That is a different way of discharging the electrical polarities that are in the body that need grounding. That's different than the grounding we do, but it's still an important part of getting grounded and connecting to nature. So that's one thing I suggest, so that you can remember who you are. And of course, nature is in present time. It's not worried about the future. It's not worried where its leaves are going to come from, and so forth. So a great way to reconnect with source is to connect with nature. A second way is to, of course, meditate. And of course, I have my own process that I recommend, and so you can use that, find out about that in the link, and listen to it if you haven't. It's a great way to get back in your bodies while at the same time releasing all of those energies that tend to take you out of your body. And that way you can be in those higher frequencies where all your dreams and desires already live. So that is another great way of reconnecting to source, which lives in us. We are source energy. So, and then having said that, a third way to connect with source is if you have pets. Now, I've been enjoying pets this last couple weeks, doing a house sitting job, and it's really a great reminder of how present these little creatures are, these little light beings. They're always in present time, joyful, and it's just really a great way to connect to that energy of source and being in that present moment. And then as a suggestion as far as how we connect with society on the bigger level, I recall that when I left the Jehovah's Witnesses many moons ago, more than 20 years ago by now, but when I first left that group, I was on the moon. Now, for those of you who don't know much about Jehovah's Witnesses, you're not allowed to have friends outside of that group. And so I was born and raised in that, and so I was very isolated in that. And then the other part is that if you ever decide to leave, so this is how high control groups work, is that if I ever decided to leave, I was basically on the moon. No one there was ever allowed to speak to me again. And so after leaving a group like that, feeling like I was on the moon, I decided to set up my own support group to create a support system for myself, because there wasn't this back then. There were no groups, there was no Facebook, there was nothing. So I created my own group, and so I encourage you to do much of the same now. If you are feeling isolated, create an event. Like, that's why I'm going on this hike. That's why I'm inviting people. And I'm also looking forward to creating more live events. Small events, could be with just small groups of people, could be big groups, I don't know. But at any rate, create an event and invite people. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. So if you're feeling isolated and you don't find the people that are available to connect with, create a group, create an event, and build it, and they will come. Or maybe not at first, but eventually, as you hold that intention, you start to magnetize the people that are of a like mind with you and with these same direction that you're headed. So those are my tips for this weekend as far as reconnecting with Source. So 1, be sure to meditate on a regular basis. 2, get out in nature, and be sure to join us on, this is April 29th in the San Francisco Bay Area. You can private message me if you have my number, or at least email support@KimberlySherry.com and find out more details. And if you're not getting my newsletter, be sure to email support so that you can. That's where we send out once a week everything that's going on, so you can stay connected that way as well. So I hope to see you soon, and maybe on our hike, and if not, maybe somewhere else. All right, sending so much love, and until we meet again, namaste.